achievers, middle achievers, lower achievers, but also based on how each individual will best learn, how they might best learn that day, because it may be that sometimes children enjoy writing and sometimes they don't. And I think this is one of the challenges with VAK, is that we put people in a box that maybe is something that varies over time and day to day. But I wouldn't say, I don't say, and Mr. Thomas will talk about, I definitely don't say children should not write things down. What I do think is that children should have the opportunity to learn in different ways, and that generating notes. The thing is, I mean, as I said, note taking itself does have a positive effect. Any sort of note taking has a positive effect. That's what the studies show. But generative note taking has a significantly better effect than anything else. So yes, with VAK, a classic example of how evidence has changed. So it's well worth trying to get some of the more recent papers on it. And in terms of should we be giving notes or should children be making notes, there is definitely a place for that within our learning amongst all the other learning activities that we do.
Okay, thank you, Derek. So I go back to the chat box. Adeyinka Adegbite, okay, he strongly agrees that note-taking is not bad in itself, but how it is taken is the question which is being clarified here. Absolutely, Adeyinka. Then David Oluwadara just buttressed his last point. Then we have Ali Bintiga. Now, on the same note taken by students in Nigeria, in Nigeria where I work, a teacher teaching like 60 students in a class, even to check their notes is an uphill task. In this kind of situation, how do you improve on the note-taking strategy for more impact on the students? That's a large class.
Okay, well, what I would say on that is maybe we come back to that after Mr. Thomas had talked about some of the strategies, and then we can see if we can share that. Well, let's keep a hold on that one. It's a good question.
Yeah, yes, we come back to that. Okay, so this is from my lady. In my practice, I have begun using the record of students' answers to past questions as proof that learning took place. It's been working so far. So this is a contribution from my lady. From Lawal Ibrahim, in my school, study skills, that's note-taking inclusive, are taught to the students on year group basis at the beginning of every term. However, during the course of the term, some students would have forgotten the skill, okay? From Abubakar Wahab, does jotting down notes by students while the teacher is teaching, does it have any effect in their comprehension? What is the difference between giving students notes and allowing students to take note of some important concepts? So what's the difference between giving them notes and allowing them to jot down notes? Can we take that at the end of Mr. Thomas's?
Yeah, I can touch on that and also direct good places to read on that. Kobayashi talks about this, and also the apple tree. I'll share the apple tree, which I didn't share, which is the issue around the Brett Singh and the Kulvani study. Because Kobayashi in particular, one of the things, I didn't have a chance, we have 25 minutes, you can't do everything. If you read Kobayashi, one of the things Kobayashi tackles is the mechanical demands of taking notes with paper and pen, particularly when children are supposed to be listening. And the fact that trying to take notes while listening can actually have an impact on the effectiveness and may make it negative. So it is there's a lot of comment in that in Kobayashi, and there is some evidence that suggests asking children to take notes while teachers are teaching has the potential to be negative. I'm not saying it is negative, because again, the evidence is mixed on this. But again, these are issues of skills. One of the things that Brett Singh and Kulavi talked about is the issue of perhaps giving a bit of a lecture, maybe talking, and again, depends on the age of your children, how long you talk for, and then stopping and giving the children time to summarize what you have said, so that you build in space so that they don't take notes as you're talking, but actually you talk, and then at the end you've explained a particular topic, and then at the end, after 5 minutes of a section, they do some summary of that section, and then you carry on with the next bit. So spacing out, rather than assuming that children can write and listen at the same time. Because cognitively, that is a task. That is quite a challenging task cognitively. So I'd say there is some good stuff in the studies that we'll share. And it again comes down to that. One of the other things, I mean, again, touching on to where Mr. Thomas goes, but as for example, us today, you may be jotting notes as we're going through today, but this video will be made available. So afterwards, you can watch through it again. You can go back to your notes. And there's a question as to whether you could do that in your class. Should the recording of your notes, of your lecture, of your explanation be available to the children so they can watch it back, they can pause it. This is one of the things, again, that's talked about in Kobayashi, is the issue of the ability to stop, pause the lecture, i.e. the lecture being recorded, stop, pause it, make notes, carry on.
Okay. Okay. So David Dara Oluwadara, we will take your question after Mr. Thomas's, because Mr. Thomas's presentation covers a bit of your question. So I have another question here from Christiana Adeniyi. How can we help students improve their handwriting through note-taking? How can we help them to improve their handwriting legibility? How can we do that? Through note-taking.
Okay. One of the things we talk about quite a lot here, and I think I talk about, is being clear on what your objectives are whenever you have an activity in a lesson. And don't try and achieve too many objectives at the same time. If you want to improve children's handwriting, develop a learning experience that improves children's handwriting. Don't think that you're going to improve children's handwriting as a byproduct of them copying notes off the board. Or alternatively, if you think copying notes and the focus is on their handwriting, don't assume that they will learn what they are writing. So that these are two different things. And in every activity that we do with children, we should be clear what we are trying to achieve and how we're going to measure the success of the outcome. So if we think that they're going to learn more biology by us making them write nice biology notes, and we're going to try and do both things at the same time, one of them will suffer. And depending on the child, which one suffers is outside your control. Because one child might focus on making their handwriting nice to the detriment of learning the biology, and one child may focus on learning the biology to the detriment of their handwriting. And at the end of the activity, who has achieved success? And so I would always say, try not to conflate your objectives in any activity that you're doing with children.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Okay, I think I've taken all the questions, comments, and contributions from here. So we're moving on, and we're moving on speedily because this session is supposed to end at 11:30. So, Mr. Thomas, over to you now.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, Mrs. Emezo, just wave. I know you can.
Yeah, we can hear you, but
okay.
it's cracky.
Cracky.
Okay, yeah,
Hello?
it's cracky.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Cracky?
For me, it's better. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think. Yeah. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to IATN seminar again. That I was so busy writing and forgetting that I also have a presentation. We're going to try and build on that. But before then, quickly, I just want to emphasize what he started with. We are not debating if note-taking is necessary or not, because that is almost an established fact. Even from the evidences, it's clear that note-taking can help, if not so much. And then we know that culturally, as a society, well, it will be difficult at this stage to advise school to jettison and remove note-taking completely. That's not what we're saying. Now, the key word in the topic, really for me, is how do we make that word effective? That's what I'm really going to be working on to a large extent, and advice or bring up strategies that we can use for it to be more effective. Now, in the course of doing that, I know that even as of now, you may have some thoughts against what we're saying, or you may not agree with everything entirely. I will advise that just keep your pen and paper close to you and write down things. If we're able to answer the questions at the end, we'll try as much as we can, but I believe it's something that we can continue the discussion even in our schools to be able to decide on what is better for our learner. For me, like I mentioned in meeting this is becoming more like an advocacy, because some kind of bookkeeping and they are not very comfortable experiences. And we look at what is the type of note-taking strategies that can help children to improve their learning and get better in their experiences in school. Now, I also want to make reference to evidence-based practice. There was a quote posted by Mr. Smith earlier. The evidence-based practice is when the actual classroom practice of teachers is guided and informed by systematic evidence of what is effective. As teachers, we have to consistently ensure that we check the effectiveness of what we're doing in the classroom. We don't just have to continue for the sake of what the society is expecting. Don't forget that the society we're talking about, sometimes the parents, even the stakeholders around the school, they don't really know better. So this kind of training is for us to engage with ourselves and have this forward-looking mindset to be able to help our children better. All right, having said that, quickly, let me proceed. So my own focus for this section, this 25 minutes that I have, they're about one, want to again together look at what are the benefits. Why do we expect students to take notes in lesson, and why do we expect them to keep the notes? Because if we know why we're doing, what are the better ways, or can it work better this way if we know what we really want to achieve? And the second one, explain active and generative notes taking. I think those words came out from Mr. Smith's presentation earlier. If note taking must be done at all, if note taking, even from the Kobayashi report and the other, if we have to give them notes, if they have to keep notes at all, there must be generative note taking processes and active note taking processes. So what do these involve? Note taking processes that are generative and active. We'll look at that. And then the few tips that can help around schools to get note taking to a more effective level. Yeah, the quote around here, like it said, children must be taught how to think, not what to think. Most of the time, we just give them what we think they should be thinking about from our lessons. We give them notes as feedback from our lessons that we want them to go back and review. It's good, but all the same, it's also important to help them to understand not just how to what they need to think about, but how they need to also generate what to think about. I'll make reference to that in the course of the presentation. Yes, for those of you who have attended RTN training before, this will not be new. Please pick up your phone, pick up your phone, even your laptop that you're using, you can still use your iPad. Let's do this quickly. It's just a way of engaging ourselves and